welcome to Link Internationally, a multilingual podcast where we are learning internationally and networking the kingdom. There were more than 6.9 million international students in 2022, and that figure is constantly growing. I'm Anza, your host. I invite you to join me as I discover the inspiring physical and spiritual journeys of international students as they share their personal, life-changing experiences with us. These stories enable us to enlarge our vision of what God has been doing in and through international student migration around the world in order to make His name known among the nations. Hello, today I have the pleasure to interview Elise. Elise is originally from Nantes, a major French city in Western France. She studied in various European countries, Ireland, Germany, and the UK. Welcome, Elise. Thank you so much for being with me today. Elise, you're French and from Nantes, a beautiful city in Western France. You were born and raised in that part of France and lived there until you went to university. So, could you please tell us what was it like to grow up in Nantes for you? I could imagine a number of our listeners have never been to Nantes, so you could tell us also what Nantes and its region is like.
Hi, thank you for having me. Well, Nantes is a big city, so you could visit museums and go to the cinema. You could go to different nice exhibitions, and there are concerts sometimes in the outdoors and festivals that people can attend in the summer. So it's a nice place, and you have buses that can take you from one place to another. And as a child, when you go to secondary school, you usually go to school on the bus. It's also not far away from the ocean, so most people from Nantes will go to the west coast of France for the summer. So that's the kind of childhood that I had. Schools are from 8:30 in the morning until like 5 in the evening, so there are long days, but you get to do many different topics and sports and music and arts as well, one hour a week. But the days are packed, really.
Mm. So thank you so much, Elise. So France is a traditionally Catholic country. Did you grow up going to church regularly or on specific occasions?
France is a Catholic country, but from the 1770s, 1970s, and 1980s, many people de-Christianized. My mom is a Catholic and my dad is an atheist, and they said that I would get to decide when I'm an adult or when I grow up. So they didn't have me baptized as a child. However, my mom and her mom sometimes took us to Christian mass for maybe for the midnight, what we call the midnight mass at Christmas time. And people still have Catholic weddings or Catholic funerals. So I would have gone to church a few times when I was a child. However, we didn't go weekly for sure.
Okay. So how did you come to know Jesus then?
When I was in secondary school, high school, a friend of mine was a pastor's daughter, or he was an evangelist. So he worked for as a missionary with his wife, and I was curious. I was attracted to maybe philosophy or getting to know more stuff. So because I didn't know much about the Protestant church, I went with another friend and we started asking questions, and he opened the Bible and he answered our questions. And at first I wanted to challenge him and tell him that what he believed was a bit stupid. Sorry. But eventually he answered my questions. And one day I just realized that I had not really understood who God was and who Jesus was, and the things that I had either heard or imagined about Christ and God the Creator were false, and what was written in the Bible actually, I wouldn't say enticed me, but convinced me. Yeah, I wanted to know more about Christ, basically. I wanted to know him, and one day in my garden. I said, "All right, God, well, okay, I know there's going to be some changes, but I want you in my life, and yeah, change me, but go easy on me," because I knew there were already things that there was a lot of work for him to do. Yeah, I started attending church weekly, and I read maybe every day, maybe not every day, but I read regularly and prayed every day. Yeah. I was 17 when I got baptized.
That's wonderful, Elise, to hear the Lord's work in your life. So, at the end of high school, you would have been 18, I imagine. You chose to study English and teaching French as a foreign language. Why is that, and how was that transition between high school and university?
I loved languages. I was really into languages from a very young age. My great grandma was from Slovenia, and my ears had been used to tune into foreign languages and foreign accents. So I was very attracted to languages from a very young age, and listening to a lot of music from England or America. I thought it was interesting to understand the lyrics of the word of the songs that I listened to. And yeah, I liked learning English and German and Spanish later on. So for me, it was just a logical choice. It was my favorite topic in secondary school, and also I love French, and I love French literature, poetry, and I'm a grammar freak. I love grammar. So I just wanted to teach French as a foreign language in a foreign country, and possibly like I wanted to be in an English speaking country. I wanted to live in an English speaking country. Um the
Hmm.
transition the transition between secondary school or high school and university was great for me. I really wanted to leave home. Not that I didn't get on with my parents, but I loved adventure. I'm curious, and I wanted to discover things. And I was looking forward to being autonomous and yeah, organizing my own days. And it was it was really cool for me to go to university, having my own place and meeting new people. I looked for a church and I found one easily through common friends and yeah, through my Christian network. And university was really cool. I really thought it was one of the most exciting moments of my life.
Wow, wonderful. So that period of your life was so key. And so once you went to university, you had the possibility to study abroad, you told me. So where did you go and why?
The first year I was abroad, I went to Ireland, and that's probably why I sound a bit Irish. Some people say I do sound a bit Irish, but I don't know. Depends who I'm talking with, I suppose. I went to County Kildare in Ireland as a French language assistant. So I was working there and studying at the same time. I was in this boys' school, secondary school, where I was offering French workshops around games and conversations, and it was something a bit more fun to learn languages, a bit different from traditional classes. And then after that, I went to Germany for 6 months as an Erasmus student, and it was during my master's teaching French as a foreign language. So I went to Karlsruhe in Germany, in Western Germany, where I stayed for a semester, and it was really cool. I was living in students' accommodation, and I met with very nice people and got to know the Germans, and I got to learn German better. And then I went to England, and later on, I went back to Ireland for a year to work and save money to pay for my drama school in England. So I went to England in 2007, 2008, I believe. No, 2008, 2009. And I was in a theatre school, performing arts school in Birmingham for a year.
Wow, many adventures for you who like adventures. How did those experiences abroad shape you and help you in your walk with Jesus and
Mm.
your understanding of who God is?
The first year I was in Ireland was a really really deep experience with God. It was the first time I was leaving my country. Obviously, I had left home to study, but I went home every weekend because the city where I was studying was not too far from home. So it was the first time I was going to be away from my parents, but also the first time I was going to be away from my church. And I knew that there was a risk there for me to probably be a bit silly. So I prayed God before I left. And I said, Lord, I want somebody that could become a very good friend to me and who would be a Christian, who'd live in the same house as me. Many people share accommodation in Ireland, many young adults anyway. And I moved to Ireland, and 2 weeks before I moved into the house that I picked, a girl from Ireland moved back from Africa where she'd been working, and turns out she had common friends with me who were Christian missionaries, but I didn't know that, and she didn't either. So we met. I picked the house. I felt that the house that I visited was the house that I needed to live in. And a couple of weeks after I moved in, I realized we had common friends, and that she was a Christian. And we became best friends that year, and we went to church together and Bible study together. And I really felt that year that God had prepared the way so precisely, so personally for me to hold on to Him and have, fellowship with people. Yeah, He paved the way for me to keep the faith, and that was really moving for me, that he would know my very needs, my very personal needs. And then when I moved to England to study drama, he'd prepared the way again for me to fund the school, to pay for the school. I got a job in Ireland the year before, and he really provided financially for me. And when I was in Germany, again, I met very interesting people whom I could share my faith with. And I felt that God had, yeah, he basically, wherever I went, he continued to speak to me. And it didn't depend on a particular church or on a particular friend. Every time I moved, he provided with new connections for me to continue learning the Bible and continue worshiping him, and to continue being challenged in my daily walk. And I know that wherever I go in the world, he will put people on my path that will encourage me in the faith.
Yeah, I was so encouraged to hear your testimony and how God led you in those three different places and provided for you. Thank you so much for sharing. So today, Elise, you work as a professional actress. You
Mhm.
had some experience in that area when you were in England. I don't know that many Christian professional actresses, myself actually. You just told us about how the Lord used your time abroad to shape you, to strengthen your faith, and to lead you to people also who needed to hear the gospel. And maybe
Mhm.
you can also share with us some of the valuable lessons that he taught you even recently in the context of your profession.
One thing for sure that I learned was to be patient, extremely patient. I don't know for other professions, but as an actor or as an artist in France, when you have that at the core of your being, you know you want to do that, you know you're good at that, but it's a very, very hard field to work in financially, but also the temptations are there, or even evil and ill-intentioned people are there. So you have to be patient. It's not, I don't know for others, but for me, it didn't happen in one day. Like, I wanted to be an actor since I was 7, and now I'm 41, and I can say that I'm doing it professionally for the last, I don't know, let's say 10 years, because I was teaching, but maybe 5, 6 years as a full-time actor. And one thing is, you have to be patient, and you have to persevere, and you have to every day invest in your passion. And sometimes the reward comes in late, or comes in very small tokens. So that's one thing. Another thing is, you have to be so close to Jesus because, yeah, the temptations will rise, and you have to strengthen your relationship with him before anything, because there will come times when you'll have to choose between a job opportunity or a relationship and Jesus. 2 years ago, I had to put my foot down with a company that want me to do to act in a scene that I found highly inappropriate in terms of spiritual value. It wasn't something sexual at all. It was something to do with the occult. And I had to say, no, I'm not going to do this scene. It was a show for children. And the scene was a mock scene. It was supposed to be comedy, but it still tackled a topic that I didn't want to portray in front of children because I thought they were too young to understand the difference between making a parody of something, or we're making a caricature that's supposed to be funny, and what really it is. And I had to quit the job. We had a few strong arguments, and then they told me that they cut me out of the play, and it was going to be many dates and many gigs and good money, but I had to say no, because I knew that this wasn't the will of God for me to portray something that he hates and that he finds dangerous and toxic for children. And that's why you have to be so close to him, because it meant I wasn't going to have work, I wasn't going to have money. And the rest of the play I really enjoyed, and the people that I worked with, I was good friends with. But it really drew a line between us, and it cut those relationships too. But yeah, if you want to put Jesus first, sometimes it means sacrifice. But I think also you don't have to. One thing is, don't hesitate to ask questions, and don't doubt that God will answer, and don't worry too much that you're not sure. It's okay not to be sure. It's okay to question him or to ask him. And one of the last things is, if you're in the arts, make sure you have strong fellowship with Christians outside of work, so you can have advice and support and people to pray for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, great, great advice. Thank you so much for sharing, Elise. It was really great to hear from you. And thank you so much for accepting my invitation, and enjoy acting.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like it, why not leave us a review? Do subscribe so that you can automatically get the next episode. We publish an episode each week on Monday, in English every first and third Monday of the month, and in French every second and fourth Monday of the month. Our next episode in English will be in 2 weeks' time, and we'll hear the story of Tom from Vietnam, who studied in Australia. And if you speak French, do join us next week and hear from Sophie. Sophie is French and she studied in Argentina. Thank you again. Goodbye.